And welcome in, everybody, back here in the Two Guys and Beer podcast studio as we rejoin you once again. Sean, you know what day it is today, right?
It is beer drinking day.
It is beer drinking day. Monday,
July 1st.
Here we go. So, yeah.
Doppelbock day.
Doppelbock day. There we go. It's a lot of good days is really what it is. But we're back on the train and back bringing what we can to the listeners out there and doing everything, doing our part, really, to entertain the masses or at least do something.
I do my part by drinking beer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Consumption. That's my special talent.
Yeah, consumption and just endless random knowledge that we come up with from usually just the internet that we bring to you. And, hopefully you learn a little bit about some breweries. And, I know that we have for sure about, some of the great culture that is the brewery culture.
And that is a great culture. Mm-hmm. And see, we do all the hard work for you, whether it's the beer talk, the brewery stuff, or the stupid knowledge that you never thought you would know. Mm-hmm. We're doing the heavy lifting so you can just sit back, relax, and drink your beverage.
The heavy lifting.
Yes. Chin-ups.
It's a lot of weights around here.
12 ounces.
Exactly. So today we're going international in celebration of it.
Can't wait.
I don't know, being July or something.
Perfect.
But yeah, we're going back to Germany. We're going to the Munich area of Germany. We've been kind of to roughly around that area-ish previously, but this one we're going right back to the heart of Munich, Bavaria, Germany.
Perfect.
A brewery that it's not the oldest, but it could definitely lay some claim towards being one of the oldest, having started in 1397.
That's crazy. That is super old.
That is, there's not a lot of people back in the workshop from there.
No, I don't think they're around. I don't think they're around now.
So, way back in 1397 is when this one really started to be mentioned a little bit, and that's going to be Spaten is what it is. So that's the brewery that we have selected for today. Had it recommended by a couple of different people, including Mike, who I'm on the fire department with, but also our good friend Jake.
From Seattle.
Yep.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Jake. Thank you very much. Too bad you're not here like you're supposed to be.
Yeah, we had a whole thing all set up to go, and the shenanigans were in full effect. And you know what they say: if you shenan once, you're going to shenan again.
He shenaned it out this time for sure.
So we had connected. There's a group of us, or friends from way back in the day, and Melissa and Jake live out in Seattle, and we've talked about them even on a previous episode, which was kind of funny because I knew about this information while we were talking about that. It was the Schilling cider we were talking about, and even at that point,
ridiculous. I didn't know anything about this. Just so you know, apparently this was a surprise. And I was informed this morning at about 11 a.m. that the surprise was going to happen, but it's not going to happen.
So we had connected, and Jake, said he wanted to be, a part of the podcast or be here for a recording or, somehow be involved, And I'm like, well, let's do all of the things. Let's
get
do
him on.
It. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And so we had, the shenanigans that were in full effect is that Sean didn't know any of this at all. I knew, my wife knew, his wife knew, my brother and sister-in-law here earlier a little bit. They knew, pretty much everybody was aware of what was going on, and there was, little things here and there. I messaged Sean a little bit about, bring the extra mic because we might, we got to test it out if we're ever going to have a guest like today.
Right, but that seemed legit to me because we're working on our new table so we can actually have some people in here, a little more room. Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking, oh, okay, sounds great. But no, I left it at home once I found this whole thing.
Right.
So it's not here, but but it seemed legit,
So we had all of the plans in place until last night at some point in time. Poor Jake ended up getting sick, and he is getting an appendectomy. So he flew to Minnesota from Seattle to have surgery. So, this episode will be dedicated to you.
Yeah, we'll drink them for you, buddy.
That's what we'll do. So the plan was to have him on, and would have been really cool because we were going to kind of surprise you either right at the beginning or as part of the podcast. So we were going to kind of get you with that one.
Yeah, it would have been fun.
Would have been a really good time. So, we're thinking about him, and relatively minor, so it should go fine. But still at the same time, he might be coming out about now.
Yeah.
But he was probably under the knife here just within the last few minutes. So
right, yeah.
So it's kind of the episode is kind of inspired by that. So he's unfortunately not able to be here, but we have the beer just the same, and so we're going to push forward with this Spaten. It's a Spaten Frankensteiner Brau is a brewery in Munich, Bavaria, Germany. So that's the whole thing. That's what it is. Right. So Spaten is what it is. The brew that we have is either not 100% sure. So all of the German-speaking audience, feel free to hit me with the feedback and put it towards me. It's either Optimator or Optimator. It is an A, but with the German language, I'm not sure if it's Optimator with that. But Optimator sounds kind of fun, like a transformer.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought too. But I'm not even going to take a stab at it. I'll probably use both through the course of this episode because, I don't speak German and just not good at it.
Amanda was going through Babbel on her phone trying to learn German. It wasn't going well.
Wasn't going well.
No, so I don't think that she'll have it for when we go to Oktoberfest later this year, which stay tuned to that upcoming. We'll have some live video, maybe some shorts. I don't know when it'll all come out, but we're going to be doing some stuff live on location from the Oktoberfest in Munich, Germany later on this fall. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. And since this stuff is from Munich, I don't know what all our plans are going to entail while we're there, but maybe we swing by this place and check it out since we'll be there.
I got it on my list to talk about here.
Perfect. Yep. Perfect.
So it'll definitely be involved. So we'll have to harken back on a live bit that we do from Germany. So that'll be kind of fun. So looking forward to that process later on this year, but I'm looking forward to having the beer today. So what we have is the Optimator. It's a Doppelbock. It does say malt liqueur or malt liquor, but I'm not sure how you have a Doppelbock and a malt liquor unless it's just the maltiness rather than like a Zima or that type of malt liquor. But nonetheless, it is a Doppelbock, 7.6 alcohol by volume.
Did you just say Zima?
Yeah.
My goodness, is that even made anymore?
I think so.
Who drinks Zima?
I don't know.
I mean, I did in high school.
I don't think I've ever even had it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't think I ever did.
You used to put a Jolly Rancher in them. You can change the flavor of them. You just drop it in there.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I wonder if I'm going to have to look to see if they make. I know they went away and then they brought it back. I think it's gone again.
Oh, okay. I guess I thought maybe it was still out because I guess I had heard that it came back for a little while or something, but maybe it was just a short release.
They were before its time, the Zima. It was like first malted beverage probably. Then it was Smirnoff Ice and Mike's Hard. Now they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Anyways, should we get to cracking?
Let's go. Let's get let's blow the top off this episode.
Here we go.
All right, first couple sips here to kind of get the episode going. Definitely Doppelbock.
For sure.
Yeah, you get kind of that deep malty, kind of almost not burnt, but it's almost, there's a brown flavor, like a nuttiness to it, for sure. Real kind of, not heavy, but deep.
Yeah, that is a great way to describe it, deep, because it is not heavy, but it tastes like a heavy beer or a super dark beer, borderline the Guinness type of flavor.
Good and full-bodied.
It's like a light Guinness, maybe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But it's pretty good, though. I like it. You can kind of see the labels there on the front. It's got the logo for the Optimator. But the logo, we'll talk about that here, first before we get too deep into the history of it here. The logo itself it's two little shovels, is what that is. It's malt shovels, is what those are. Because Spaten, literally translated in German, is spade. It's like a shovel.
Sure.
And so that's kind of their thought is that it's a shovel it's a malt shovel for when they're making beer.
That's genius.
So that's kind of what they got there. So
those Germans, they're all smart over there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's kind of what's going on there. As I mentioned, a 7.6 ABV. So got a little bit to it. A 12-ounce bottle. I like the green bottle though. Like that's something that it's lesser known thing that, even sunlight will affect, over time, but it will kind of affect the taste of beer a little bit. And so you'll see usually like more craft or heavier beers will be in either darker or green bottles. Right. Whereas if you get, like the lighter beers that it's not going to affect it quite as much because the taste is really light to begin with, then those are going to be in clear bottles because it doesn't matter. It's not a huge deal.
Affect it, yeah. Yeah, you can definitely taste the malt in here, though, for sure. So it's definitely not the malt liquor type beer that we were thinking. We were kind of confused for a minute about it. Well, we weren't confused, but it was just interesting to see Doppelbock and malt liquor on the same bottle. But it's definitely the malts with the grain or the malt or whatever they put into it, for sure. You can taste that in the aftertaste, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Very malty, for sure, though. 100%. It's pretty good, though. It's pretty good. I don't know that on the lawn mowing scale that I always harken back to, I think it'd probably be about a 1 from the standpoint of, hot day mowing the lawn. I don't know that I'm having very many of them. Maybe one before to kind of get, feel like I ate a good breakfast or something beforehand. But, it's not, it's good, but it's not what I would say is like refreshing for like a hot day. But it is definitely good from that Doppelbock, that heavier, full-bodied, malty type of flavor. So not many lawn mowing, but
no, I agree 100%. I was thinking the same thing. Probably about a 1 lawnmower on the scale. I wouldn't want to drink this on a hot, sweaty day. I would want to drink this sitting on my porch with my feet up, smoking a cigar.
Absolutely.
I want to crack one of these and savor the taste and enjoy that.
Yeah, maybe after you put the lawnmower away for the final time in like late September, October.
That would be perfect. Around a fire, having one of these.
Yep. The leaves are already coming down. You're not doing anything with them. You're just moving on. Maybe you do. I guess I don't really have any leaves though that come down here. Most of it is pine, so I don't have much of that. But
admiring the yard.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Standing there with your hands on your hips, pretending to be a man.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Look of accomplishment.
But yeah, like, sweatshirt, maybe a hoodie on with the fire. I'd probably now that's a different scale. I'd probably have 4, 5. That the number would change a little bit, at that point in time. But it's more that than the lawn mowing with that type of vibe.
So we might have to add a second scale. We got the lawn mowing scale, and then we have the fall fire hoodie scale.
True.
We have to come up with some sort of second scale now that you brought that up.
Yeah, that's true. Because when we had our run of 3-4 Oktoberfest style episodes, those probably would fit more with that because they're more of a fall Octoberish type of beer. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's a second scale. We'll add it to the bottom, or we won't. We'll just talk about it.
Figure it
it'll
out.
Be fun.
Yeah.
One way or the other, it'll be a good time.
Either a summer beer or a hard-working summer beer when you're hot and sweaty and gross, or it's a throw on a hoodie, roast a marshmallow, put a weenie on, drink a beer.
Yep. Need something kind of heavy with some body to it. There you go. Absolutely. Sure. So this one goes way back. Not necessarily this particular one, but the brewery itself, 1397, as I had mentioned before. So it goes in the Wayback Machine, back before even 1400. 3 years before 1400, by my math. It's Malacca math, so got to double check it sometimes. But it was first alluded to in Munich. It's Welser Brew is how I guess I would say it. I'm guessing it's a Welser. So in German, it'd probably be Welser Brew. I'm guessing. Again, not speaking German.
You have the app on your phone, so I'll let you.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Crack at that.
But
I'll use Google Translate when we're over there. So
perfect.
That'll be my way of trying to communicate.
So 1397 is the first mention, but there's not a whole lot of information that they have. They have a Wikipedia. They have information on Spaten as a whole with the Hand family that is now kind of the ownership group. They have some other information, but they don't really have their own website really at all, which is a little bit, I guess I shouldn't say surprising, but they've been around that long that you're either going to come and check it out or you're not. And it's going to be in all of the places. They probably aren't offsetting a bunch of advertising dollars for tax revenue like American companies. I don't know how that works for Germans, but I'm assuming that there's something a little different there because they seem to care a lot less about that. People know what it is. It's it's not like you're surprised that Budweiser is going to be on the shelf. So that's kind of 1397 is the first mention. Not a lot of information, but ownership changed often until 1854. So a lot of ownership changes throughout the course of the years leading up to when it finally gets to the ownership group and we start moving forward a little bit. It's been a leading exporter of German beer for more than a century and a crucial role in establishing the president's superior worldwide reputation for German beer. So this is definitely well known, and I had never heard of it until then, but then all of a sudden I get a bunch of people that mention it. And so it clearly is out there and doing a thing, but just isn't something that I had come across, at least as of yet.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before either. I've never come across it. I can't say I've seen it in any liquor store around here that I frequent. So this is a new beer to me.
One note, as we kind of talk about the timeline a little bit, the 1397, between 1397 and 1854, again, you're going to have to double check my math here, but somewhere between there is 1516. And the 15,
it happens.
Exactly.
It happens.
1516. That was we had mentioned this in again when we had done some episodes, kind of referring to some German beers. Duke Wilhelm IV of Bavaria issued the so-called purity law, decreeing that then on beer was only allowed to be brewed from malt, hops, and water. Since then, Spaten has only brewed its beers with the strict adherence to the purity law, quality you can taste. So they kind of went through that. There was a lot of beers that kind of disappeared at that point in time, but this was one that, nope, we're going to lean into it. That's what it's going to be, and that's what we're going to say, and that's what we're going to stick with. And so they went right through the purity law and, were able to come out the other side exactly with what they had.
So well, it's definitely quality, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. You can tell that by drinking it. It's just not some crap-ass beer, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
It is a quality beer.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you like dark beer out there, go get yourself some of this if you can find it. It is a quality.
So as we kind of move through the years here, 1854. That point, it moved to another location as well within that Munich area, and it is actually still in that same location today. Nice. So that's quite the run. 1854, 2024. Count the carry the two, whole bunch of years.
170 years. Some years, yeah.
In 1867, became the largest brewery in town in Munich. So starting to really kind of push things a little bit. 1872, the Franziskaner Leist Brewery served beer at the Oktoberfest celebration for the first time. So there, we had talked about, maybe trying to find that. I think that we can find it there.
I probably can.
It'll be pretty easy to find. They had the Spaten Oktoberfest beer, Urmarzen, specially brewed by Joseph Seldmeyer in 1909, at that point it was brewed there, and then separately in 1909 they first began delivering to North America. So it had not came to America at all until early 1900s. So
wow, so they've already been brewing beer for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
and then it finally shows up here.
Exactly. 1922, the Spaten Brewery and the Franziskaner Leist Brau united to form a joint stock company. So they kind of merged, and they were both owned by the Seldmeyer family. Gabriel Seldmeyer, separately, just as a side note, he was actually a former Royal Court brewer.
Ooh.
So kind of a big deal.
That sounds pretty special.
Kind of a big deal.
Sounds special.
Around 1924, they got a new advertising slogan that is still in use today. Lass dir raten, trinke Spaten. And you can almost kind of guess what it means. Literally translated, let yourself be advised, drink Spaten.
I am advised.
Yes.
I have been advised.
I like... I do like that slogan. I think that works for me.
It works
Be advised.
well.
I have been advised, and here we go.
We're drinking.
So, it's kind of a interesting little advertising slogan, but 1924, and they still use that today.
Still use it, yeah.
They still use it. So, been around for quite a while. Franziskaner beer was created in 1935, even though there was part of the brewery. They kind of, within the Spaten overall house, they created that particular beer in 1935, and the Franziskaner monk was designed by Ludwig Holwein at that point in time. So, bringing in artists to be able to make the label. I don't have a picture of said label. No, actually I do on this Wikipedia page, and it is a monk that has a mug ready to take a pull.
Perfect.
Good beer drinking monks are hard to find.
They are hard to find, but we did learn about monks before. They used to made their own beer concoction to fast and lose weight.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah,
that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
I think I said that then, but just
you want to lose weight or you want to become a monk?
Might have to do both. Do I get to drink twice as much then? Is that
sure?
Probably.
Just for you.
1964, the brewery produced its first wheat beer, and then 10 years later, it became Franziskaner brewed. All of the Franziskaner was wheat based, so they kind of made that into its own segment, own section of beer. So. That was in 1964. Fast forward another 20 years, in 1984, it started a national distribution of beers, and by 1998, it ranked among the top 10 breweries of Germany.
All right.
That's a pretty good list to be on, I would think. I'm guessing. Just saying.
Any top 10 seems good to me.
Mm-hmm. Right. 1992, kind of around the time we were talking about the wheat-based, and when they were going to the national distribution, they reached a production at that point in time of 1 million hectoliters. Don't worry, I did the conversion. 850,000 U.S. barrels in 1992. So that's where they were at about then. In 97, they also combined with the Lowenbrau AG to form the Spaten Lowenbrau Group. It was sold in 2003 to Interbrew for 530 million euros. So they have definitely grown quite the business over the course of many years.
Just a little bit. They didn't get too big now, It was just a little bit of growth.
During the 2002-2003 brewing year, Franziskaner beer alone reached 1 million hectoliters produced.
Wow.
So they definitely kept going on that one. However, they did, in 2006, they did have to... they closed essentially one of the brew houses in Munich just due to a lack of workload. But I think that was more of a regional situation with that one. But they didn't get rid of the building. They now made it a museum for the company.
Oh, that's cool.
So now there's a museum in Munich we can be able to go check out. So
maybe
that's where we can go. 2011, the brewery launched the Franziskaner Royal, a wheat beer. And in 2017... AB InBev launched the distribution of alcohol-free Franziskaner in the UK. So all sorts of different arms kind of spouting off all over the place with what Spaten Franziskaner has. 2021, they began considering selling the Franziskaner and Spaten brands to move to offload some of the beer assets. So still some... things to be able to work on that one. They haven't figured anything out, but at least as of 2021, AB InBev was the kind of the parent company, I guess, if you will, for all of the brands there.
That's kind of a bummer, because AB InBev, that's a pretty big company. It's too bad it's not owned by a local company in Germany or passed down through family lines some way, shape, or form. It just kind of a bummer when big corporations take over breweries or other companies or beer. It kind of takes away that special factor or the homegrown factor.
Takes away a little heart almost.
The little man factor. It's like, it's just another big company that owns it. They had nothing to do with the success of it, nothing to do with the recipes, the beer, the packaging, nothing. It's, we just bought it, now it's ours.
Exactly. So, it's I don't know. We'll see what happens if they end up serving. Maybe they sell portions of it. The Franziskaner and Spaten brands. Maybe they sell it to an individual person, and they can start that. But it'd be pretty big pull for one person to.
That's just it. If they're selling for 500 and some odd euros, like you said, how is any one person going to even carry that on?
Well, and even a millionaire, billionaire that's going to maybe try to lop onto that and do that is probably going to make it under like an LLC or something anyway. So it's going to be another corporate venture.
Right.
So, but yeah, you're not getting, like the local brewer that's worked there for 20 years to like, all right, well, I'll take out the loan.
Right. Yeah, it would take a lot of investors to pool together to try to keep it private in some way, shape, or form. But then you'd have 10, 15 owners essentially, all investing in it.
Would be cool, though.
It would.
Just a quick update, 2010, the brewery employed about 500 people and had an annual production volume of about 2.4 million hectoliters, which again, doing the math, 2 million barrels. And reminding people once again how much is in a barrel?
Oh, like 34 gallons or something like that. Yeah.
So that's
U.S. gallons, 34 gallons per the average barrel. Of course, there's other barrels that are different sizes.
Right.
But that's the average size barrel.
So that times 2 million is a lot.
It's a lot of beer.
It's quite a bit of beer. Making it one of the largest brewers in the Bavaria region.
Can you imagine, like, if you're brewing that much beer, how much malt you need, how much wheat you need, like how much yeast, all that stuff. Like, that's crazy.
And just to brew at that large of a tank. You're dumping in, you're not making a mistake by like, a teaspoon too much of something. Did you put 4 or 8 bags in this?
Right. Bring the forklift up and dumping the whole pallet load of wheat in there.
Yeah, it's going to be those big, the bags that are on pallets that usually have concrete mix or something. Yeah. We had talked before about Oktoberfest, going there later on this year if we haven't mentioned that.
Can't wait.
It's going to be a good time. Spaten Franziskaner Brau is one of the 6 brewers in Munich to brew beer for Oktoberfest. So one of the specific ones for the celebration.
Perfect.
So definitely looking forward to that. Some of the beers that they have, 1841, they introduced the Marzen beer. 1894, the Muncher Helles, a German pale lager, was produced by the company for the first time, 5.2 ABV. They had a Pils that they make, 5.0 ABV. The Oktoberfest beer, which was likely going to be what we're going to have while we're there.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
Just guessing.
Yeah.
My goals, and I've said this multiple different times or whatever, my goal is to have between 7 and 10 massive beers and then a pretzel the size of my torso.
We'll be carrying you right out of there.
It's a good thing that I don't have a flight back to America the next morning. Wait
a minute.
That's going to be, that'll be interesting.
I do not have a flight back the next day. I go back I think, 2 days later, I think.
I probably should have maybe pushed it a couple of days.
The third.
Yeah, that's the way that it worked out for flight times for me.
We're going to get laughed at over there.
Oh, absolutely. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Effing Americans.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm willing to accept any and all, harsh criticism. I'm okay with that. But interesting note, as we know, that it takes a little while to be able to brew beer. Usually you can get it done in, between a couple weeks and a month, depending on how long you want to let it settle, to be able to let some of like the malt settle to the bottom or filtering. They brew the Oktoberfest beer, it says here, in springtime to be able to be ready for the fall Oktoberfest in autumn. So that's going to be about a 5.9 ABV. So looking forward to having a bunch of that.
I can't wait.
They also have a light beer, Diet Pils, which, interesting note, can be consumed by diabetics. So if you're running into that issue, that's something that it can you can have with that.
Beer for everybody. I'm not interested in looking to consume light beer, though.
That's true.
I want full, hearty, chunky, thick German beer that's going to knock me on my ass, basically.
Exactly. The Franziskaner Weiss beer has a 5.0 ABV, and that is one of them that claims to be part of following the purity law with what you're required the malt, hops, and water. Basically, that's it. I don't know how you make anything taste different at all.
Right, when you have the same 3 ingredients.
You just you make it work, I guess. So,
well,
and
maybe
then, of course,
you could get some
the
different
Optimator.
water from somewhere.
That's true, because that is one of the big things is the taste of water.
Could be a little different.
It definitely changes the taste of the beer. Generally, I've purchased because I just make like 5-gallon batches whenever I've made it. I will just purchase like spring water in bottles. But I have known different places. There's a place in Florida that I had gone to, Anchor Lab, that they use reverse osmosis and just filter it right down to basically distilled water. There's nothing in it. And then the guy that owns the place, actually, he graduated as like a chemist, I believe. And so, or he at least was in college for a while as a chemist, but he'll basically put different minerals and different things back into the water to create a specific taste based on a water table from a certain area. So there are places that want to do that. They want to recreate a beer from a random place in Japan. All right, well, as long as I have the water profile, like I can make it taste exactly like that. So kind of a fun thing. If you have a taste that you want to be able to go to, you can adjust the water itself. So obviously the ingredients, but if you want to adjust the water, you can certainly do it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Interesting how that stuff works when you're doing that kind of thing, brewing beer or whatever it is you're doing.
Absolutely. And so that's it's so tricky, with some of that stuff. And, I'm glad that whoever started doing it. So that way, we have some of that base of knowledge to be able to go from now at this point in time. So, some other notes here that they generally only use raw materials of the highest qualities, and a lot of it is locally sourced. A lot of their malt is obtained from barley grown primarily in Bavaria, and it pays very close attention to the purity of the strain of the barley that they use. So they definitely go real close to home. The hops are taken from a Hallertau, I believe is what it is, Hallertau, situated just north of Munich. So again, kind of locally sourced with everything. And the yeast supplies are brought in as well, and they use their own specific purebred strain of yeast. So definitely something that they keep local. And then their water table, they say their own deep wells, and especially noted for purity right there in Munich. So lots of right from the source kind of things. They're not trucking stuff in from all over the place, which to a certain extent, I mean, if you find something that's good, what difference does it make if you bring it in from North Dakota? Like, right. It's a good ingredient. I want to have it be a good ingredient. Obviously, you want to try to stay local, be able to support the local economy, and something that if you can do it, that's great. If you can't, as long as it tastes good, I think that's kind of good. But it's something you can kind of hang your hat on. That like we got our own stuff from right here. It's a true Munich beer.
Yeah, it's pretty much just for the storyline, all locally sourced, homegrown, but yeah, you can get good ingredients from everywhere. And you're talking about yeast, that just kind of reminded me of, I don't know if it's still in business anymore. I kind of saw it maybe 6-7 months ago, but apparently in California, there's a company that has taken prehistoric yeast and they've brought it back from the dinosaur age, and they make beer with that.
Interesting. I'd be willing to try it.
Yeah, I don't know if they're still in business or not. I didn't do a ton of research on it, but it's literally a prehistoric yeast that they brought back. It was frozen or fossilized or something. I don't remember the exact details.
Is this like Jurassic Park? They drill into the mosquito?
Yeah, I hope not. But it was kind of interesting because that was their whole gimmick, was prehistoric beer, yeast from back then. And I guess it took them a while to get the yeast to actually work, produce properly, or to ferment properly for the beer. We might have to do an episode on that if we can actually get a hold of some of that beer, if it exists still. But it was interesting.
Absolutely. We'll have to do some research. Or if any of our listeners out there, or I guess watchers, because we are also on YouTube, if you have any, information about that, or I guess any beer, if you have anything you want to recommend to us, definitely reach out on our social media platforms. Toss something at us. Give us an idea. Give us, something. I really want to see this. Go ahead and talk about this brewery. We're happy to be able to do that. And, we love to be able to talk to people. And, we've talked to a couple of different breweries about, being able, is how the words actually work. Being able to do like on-site type of things, and might do some on-site interviews and some episodes here in the upcoming future as well.
Yeah.
So definitely looking forward to continuing with some of that. So a lot of good things happening here at the old podcast. But yeah, if you got ideas or things that you want to hear or have us talk about, certainly reach out. Give us some feedback on the different social media platforms. Comment on YouTube. Comment on Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever it is, Instagram.
All of them.
I don't think that we have an OnlyFans yet, but we can get working on that.
That is
if
not
that's
a bad idea.
If there's a segment out there that's looking for that, like we'll drink beer and show our toes or something. Like I don't think it'll go well,
Hey.
but you never know. If there's
Maybe that's our next sponsor.
there we go.
Yeah, we appreciate the recommendations. This one was recommended. We have a couple future episodes of recommended beer coming too. We've had a couple past ones, so yeah, we really appreciate the comments, and thanks a lot.
Absolutely. What else you got going on over there, Sean? I got I don't got a whole lot going on. I got some randomness, kind of bopping around in my head, but nothing particular.
Boy, I don't have too much on this particular day. This day is kind of cloudy for reasons that Jake was supposed to be here. Now he's not. Mm-hmm. But I got to bring this up because Joe Rogan brought this up, and viral stuff. Viral sensations, and you're already laughing,
geez.
so I'm sure you know what I'm going to ask him about.
I don't, but I just when you start referencing Joe Rogan's podcast, like that always.
Well, and it was
there's always
surprising
some
he
good,
brought it
good
up.
stuff.
But you haven't heard the latest viral sensation, the gal that was on the interview in the street.
Oh yeah, okay, yep, yeah. Baseball the last 2 weekends.
Everything is
the
that.
high school kids that we have on our team. That's all they keep saying all the time. And like at first, I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like what?" So obviously you had to Google it, and well, that was a terrible decision.
Like, how does that even happen? Things go so crazy viral like that. Like, what's the science behind it? There probably isn't a science behind it, but how does that happen?
It's so random, but there are people that are paid tens of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions of dollars, to try to develop things like that.
Things that go viral.
There are
right.
people that literally will work for different companies that develop all right, this is going to be the dance that we're going to give to such and such, and then they're going to do it, and it's going to be everybody's going to be doing this dance on TikTok for the next 3 months or something like that. The weird thing is I don't know how you monetize some of that. I understand that you kind of monetize, like, if you get somebody that's, like, uber famous, that's a influencer or whatever it is. If they do it, then other people will do it, and they get money. But I don't know how that translates back to, like, are they just, well, I can't come up with my own, so I'm going to pay you to develop a dance for me that I'm going to then do, that then the rest of the world will do.
Right, like, who gets the
So
money?
basically, I'm just so I think you ultimately pay for the thing. But yeah, I don't know.
You'd hope you'd get enough views and clicks, I suppose, to pay yourself and pay them, and anything over, you'd make money on. Like this gal, I don't even remember her name. We'll just call her Hawk Gal.
Yeah, I have no idea.
She's already made a couple $100,000 off of merchandise. Yeah, it's like signing autographs and whatnot. And actually, before I was on my way over here to record this with this beer. Apparently, she was on Barstool Sports on that podcast talking about those things. And, of course, you read on the internet she got fired from her job or this or that. Well, none of that's true, apparently. Like, what I kept seeing on social media was she was a teacher, apparently.
Yeah.
She's like, no, I'm not a teacher. I work at a spring factory. She's like, nothing you've seen on there is not true at all.
Yeah,
which to a
my
certain
dad's
extent,
not
a pastor.
Depending on like what it is, like why would you get fired because you said you answered a question on the street? Like just because it became viral, like I don't know. That seems kind of weak reason to be able to fire somebody. But
the nature of it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems kind of weak, but
like still, if you got fired for that, I know
you'd have a pretty good case for.
It's kind of the gray area, but my gosh, you could really sue for wrongful termination for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I guess
crazy.
The other semi-viral, I guess, sensation was did you see or hear about the Edmonton Oilers fan?
No, I did not.
So all of the videos are heavily edited at this point in time, so don't even try to go looking because I've done the research for you. Again, we do the heavy lifting for you. But I guess at one point in time when Connor McDavid had scored during the most recent Stanley Cup playoffs, the finals, somebody had shared a video. They were kind of like the crowd and went back to her, and she's like, yeah, and then she like hauls them out.
Ah, yes. Okay.
And I guess it just kind of it went nuts, and it became kind of a little mini viral thing, and it went away really quick. But apparently, she was offered all sorts of money for a bunch of different things, and turned it all down. She's like, no, I don't. I just want to support the team. I had about 9 beers and got a little wild. Like, it's fine.
I did see that. I didn't see the actual presentation that she displayed, but yeah, I did read about that gal and her drinking a lot of beer for sure. Yeah, I didn't see that. It's funny how that goes. Well, you bring up hockey. Now I got to trail off a little bit. The Florida Panthers won the Cup. I was rooting for the Oilers. Florida is now the state of hockey. We are no longer the state of hockey. They've won 3 of the last 5 Stanley Cups down there in Florida.
It's ridiculous. It's insane to me.
Like, I don't understand.
And I think that
we're the state of hockey.
There's a certain part of me that I feel like, and of course, I mean, don't get me wrong. They developed well. They've drafted well. They've brought people in. They've done all of the things right to a certain extent. But I got to feel like the league is trying to do everything they can to kind of, I don't know if bend the rules is the right terminology, but like, they want southern states to have hockey because when you have hockey in the southern states, you expand the nation and you can expand your brand. You're not just trying to move into additional places in Canada, which don't, because of exchange rate and other things going on, isn't as financially viable. But I think after 3 times of having a team in Atlanta, you can just give up on that. Like, that's just not going to happen. And side note, congratulations to the Panthers winning the Cup.
Congratulations.
I have now been to a Stanley Cup champion hockey game.
Ooh.
I didn't go to the Stanley Cup, obviously, but at one point in time when I went on the cruise, one of the cruises this last winter, we had an extra day in Florida, and where we were staying was about 20 minutes or less in an Uber to Sunrise, I believe. Florida, where the Panthers play.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like,
why not?
We don't got anything going on. Do we want to just, it's kind of a wild idea, fly to Florida out of Minnesota in the winter, go on a cruise, and then go to a hockey game. I know it's a little bit weird, and the Wild weren't playing there. For those that don't know, we're from Minnesota, so I'm wild, go wild sometimes. They weren't playing. It was Panthers and Blues. But I was like, why not? Man, it's like, let's check it out.
Sure.
And so we didn't buy tickets ahead of time. We kind of came up with the plan last minute and took an Uber there, and that was kind of a disaster because he missed the turn for the Uber that drops you off right up front, and then we ended up on the far side of the parking lot because he's like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go at this point in time.
Get out.
Yeah, so we're just like, whatever, I'm not dealing with you anymore. So we just walk at that point, which is fine. We get up to the ticket window, which was, again, outside because it's Florida in December.
Perfect.
But it's still Florida, so it's outside. And go up to the window, and I'm like, I hope they still have some tickets left. And like, you still got some tickets left? I'm assuming, like we get, something. I don't care if they're, way up top, whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, we got some tickets available or whatever. Once we get inside, there's obviously some tickets available. It was like the Metrodome back in the day, It was like when we went to Chicago the one time. They're like, I hope they have tickets available. And we get inside, and there's like a third full.
Right.
So we I'm like, yeah, we'll take 2 tickets, and he's like, well, these are going to be, it'll be where Florida shoots twice. I'm like, I don't really care because I don't, like if it's the Wild, that's what I want to see. But otherwise, like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? So it's in an end, and it is on the second level, but we'll get you these tickets. And, and I'm like, okay, totally fine. And he's like, and in my mind, I'm already, like, because I'm used to, like, Wild ticket prices, upper level are still, like, $97 a piece or something stupid. And so mentally, I'm like, okay, so it's Florida, so it's going to be less. But it's still a Stanley Cup. They were in the Cup final last year, and obviously they won it this year, so they were good all season long. These are going to be $50-$60 a piece. Mentally, I've already decided that's totally okay. And he's like... He's going to be like
$5
a piece.
Oh.
And I'm like, can I buy 3 of them and put a buffer on each side? I'm like, this is not a problem, my man. Like, give me the tickets right now.
Right.
And I'm going to spend more of that on the beer. So we went in and we got there a little bit after the first period started. We kind of wandered around the stadium, just kind of check it out. Cool stadium there. They had a lot of stuff going on, but it was very much so nobody was there for the hockey. They were there for the I'm out and about in Florida and taking pictures and being with friends. And there was a couple people. I mean, they were cheering when stuff would happen, but there was almost nobody was there for the hockey. It was a very weird, surreal experience. We actually sat in the seats and, got beer and hot dogs and, the whole bit, during the second period. And then about early to mid third period, we just kind of, pulled the pin, went and, got another beer, wandered around and just kind of toured the rest of the stadium. And then we're like, let's just head out. We can beat the whole crowd. We can get an Uber right away. It'll be right at because they have this whole section of Ubers that are all set there. And so we'll just get the first one that's in line. No big deal. So we get out there and, the Uber was a disaster getting there, but the guy that brought us back was super cool. Just an awesome dude. Was very into the Panthers, very into hockey. So we talked hockey like the entire time. It was just a blast. It was really, really cool to be able to experience that. But yeah, so I got to see a Stanley Cup champion before they won it, but nonetheless, got to watch Stanley Cup level hockey. They actually lost that game too. The Blues beat them.
Oh no,
Blues weren't very good that year, but they did beat them.
So do you think? I don't think hockey should be in the South at all. Like, I just don't understand hockey in Florida. Like you said, there wasn't even anybody there. The Panthers were a perennial team. They were in the Cup the year before. They win the Cup this year, but nobody's there.
I feel like Tampa does okay with attendance. But yeah, Arizona
moved. What are
Arizona
they now? Utah.
Terrible.
The Utah something. Do they even have a team name yet?
I don't think they've decided the team name. They have a bunch of names out there, like the Blizzard or the Yeti or,
Well, those sound
Igloo
stupid.
or something like
Who's
that.
coming up with those names? Those sound terrible.
Well, I think they're just making up names at this point in time. They have no idea. Somebody already took the Kraken, so
stop.
Not a lot of Kraken in Utah.
No, the Kraken's in Seattle.
Right. I it's hard to really believe that there's. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's hockey fans in the southern states. I won't deny that at all. I'm not looking for hate mail. Don't send me anything on that. There's definitely fans there, but to get a concentration enough to be able to support a professional franchise, 20,000 people at a crack, kind of a tough pull. And I've seen it myself because there's so much other stuff going on that's just, it's an afterthought. You look at even baseball in Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? Like, granted, their stadium is garbage, but at the same time, like, nobody goes, and they're a perennial contender.
For a long time, they were good.
And so it's I don't know. It's a tough place just because, like I said, there's just so much stuff otherwise going on. You know what I mean? Even the Diamondbacks, other than when they're going to the World Series, like, they're pretty well supported, but they're not selling out all the time or anything like that. Not that the Twins are selling out or anything either, but attendance figures just aren't amazing. Down there a little bit for basketball.
Yeah, a little bit
for basketball, but that's more. And basketball, especially, is a lot more like you're there for the appearance of being there. You know what I mean? You get into the game a little bit, but that's a different thing. But yeah, I don't know. I don't necessarily love hockey in southern states. I'd like to see it in a couple more, I think that there should be a team in Wisconsin. I think that there should be a team back in Connecticut and like the Hartford area.
Yeah.
Whether you put a team in Maine or anything like that, like, there's a lot of hotbeds that don't have any hockey at all right now. I mean, even especially like the Wisconsin one kind of just boggles my mind. I don't know that you necessarily want to put one in like North Dakota. Maybe that Grand Forks area wouldn't be bad, but I don't know that they have the population to be able to support it. But it's the people that are there love hockey.
Yeah,
like,
do.
There's no question about that. It's not a matter of passion. It's just but at the same time, what are you going to get passionate people that love it, that are going to support it there? Or are you going to put it in a southern state where you're going to get half the amount of people to show up and not really care?
And they're just on their phone the whole time down there, checking their Facebook.
But I think it comes down to media markets more than anything.
That's
because you put one in Grand Forks, that's not a big media market. You're not going to get a lot of, advertising revenue.
No, and
you
then
want to have it in L.A. and Chicago, and
on top
Hartford's
of that,
not a big one, but
on top of that, North Dakota, you're competing with. Well, they're not the Sioux anymore, but the Fighting Sioux,
Fighting Hawks or something.
whatever
now?
they are, because they had to change the name. But that's a perennial college team that gets a lot of followers all over the place.
Yep.
I think it'd be tough for an NHL team to compete with that.
Yeah, you're right.
I think more people would go after the North Dakota team than or the college team versus the pro team in North Dakota for sure.
Yeah.
Different brand of hockey, college versus pro,
Definitely, yeah. But they have such a, I don't know if cult following is the right way, but college has such a different bit because there's so much more passion with it because you went to that college or you have a connection to it specifically, and you know that the people that are going to be there are going to be there for 3-4 years. Well, that's kind of changing a little bit with football and basketball. Yeah. But hockey, generally speaking, you don't see a lot of jumping in hockey quite as much. Nil money hasn't destroyed hockey quite as much as some of the other sports.
Not yet, anyways.
Yes,
we'll see. We'll see how that trickles down here in the near future.
Right. But that's that's kind of the factor that you look at some of those things that why that's happening, and I don't know. As far as expansion, I don't know where you'd put it, but I like the idea of having a team in Utah. I mean, there's not a ton there, but it's still Salt Lake City's a good area. There's definitely some places you could put hockey. But I just don't know, why they keep trying to force their way. Because even with this team moving to Utah, there was talk of a different owner having an expansion franchise in Arizona.
Yeah, I read
and
that
I'm like,
too.
Why? Why is this happening? It already failed there once. If you can't wrap your head around, either you did a terrible job vetting the owner before, and you just voted yes because somebody was willing to buy the franchise and keep it there, or that person completely flip-flopped on all of their ideals when they went through that vetting process. Yeah. I just don't understand how many times you go back to that well before you realize that it's just not going to work. You're going to have to wait until you develop your brand a little bit larger, a little bit higher, and you're going to have to figure out a different way to be able to do it because it's just not working.
Yeah, maybe people in the South just don't like hockey as much. Or there's more things to do outside throughout the year that they don't want to go into a stadium and pay, even with a baseball, Well, baseball's all summer. If you're in Florida, you want to go inside in the summer.
Well, not only inside, but into an ice arena.
I mean, right.
And not that it's cold, but, especially if you've been in Florida for however long, it's going to be chilly. You're going to have to, you're going to wear a sweatshirt.
Right.
I think I wore a little thin long sleeve or something like that, but I'm more used to, having, lived in Minnesota, but it's people don't want to do that when they go to Florida or Arizona because of the weather.
To get
I don't
want to
go. I'll go to a mall if I want to get some AC, but I don't want to go into an ice arena. That's, no fun, but it'd still be fun for me. I'd still love it, but I still live here. So
yeah, we sure do, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's a market somewhere. I'm sure there's a way to figure it out, but nobody's figured it out, at least to this point. And so until they prove me wrong, I'm going to go ahead and be down. My dauber is down on that.
Well, I think it'll be quite a while before anybody's proven wrong with that. It's
right.
Hasn't proven successful at all yet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, but, I don't know. The beer was good, though.
The beer was good, yeah.
Hockey may be okay, but the beer was good.
I've got a little bit more of the beer left than you. I'm going to have to get to drinking and get this finished here.
Get that finished off. Got anything else for the listeners for the episode for today?
I do not.
All right. Well,
I have absolutely nothing.
That'll kind of bring episode 27 episodes here. Feel free to roll back through the whole list of the entire thing. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your spouse, tell your dentist, whoever it may be, about the podcast. If you're really wanting to be, really proactive or whatever, let us know. We'll send you stickers or, little cards or, something we'll get you something, to be able to do that. So otherwise we do got hats. We got some, stuff going on that we can be able to get out there. So reach out if you're looking for something like that, and we'll be able to help you out with something like that. But until then, this will be episode 26 for the Spaten Optimator. Cheers.